all caught up so that you don't feel left behind when you get to school or work. And I want to get started real quick by following up on all those monkeys. So if you remember, I think it was Friday's show. Friday's Morning Announcements, we talked about how a group of macaque monkeys escaped from a zoo in Germany, and they were unable to capture them immediately. Well, the monkeys, there were 24 of them. So, like, there were, like, between 24 and 20, or 22 and 25 monkeys running around. I can't remember the exact number. But they made their way to the edge of a forest right along the Swiss border. And so they were just hanging out there in the trees. They were able to finally trap them and get them all back into the zoo. So the macaque monkeys are home. Nobody got injured or sick. They're all back. They're still not sure exactly how they all escaped. They're assuming that there's construction at the zoo right now. They're assuming that one of the construction guys left a gate open and just let all of those monkeys rain loose in Germany. But they have all been recaptured and they're all home safe, hanging out probably in their little hot tub. All right, American Idol. Yes, it's still on. It came back and it's still on. American Idol. So, if you don't know, the first half of the show is all pre-taped, and then they go to the live contest where the audience votes, right? Last night was the first live show. And Bryan was not there. He's one of the judges. He was not there because he tested positive for the coronavirus. So he's out. I feel like, didn't he test positive already for it last year too? So I hope he's okay. But they were able to get a substitute, Paula Abdul. Now, Paula, one of the OG judges, she was there filling in alongside Lionel Richie and Katy Perry, who are the other judges, and they FaceTimed Randy Jackson so Randy and Paula could talk for a second. And she goes, "Wow, doesn't this feel just like old times?" And Randy's like, "Yeah, it's crazy." And she goes, "We're just missing STD." And she's like, I think that's maybe a pet name she has for Simon Cowell. And she did not realize that she had said STD out loud. I think she meant to say Simon, because she started to panic, and Ryan Seacrest is just like, And she starts to panic. She goes, "I mean, super talented and debonair. That's what I meant. Where's that super talented, debonair Simon Cowell?" So if you were wondering, yes, Paula Abdul is still a mess. And no, she didn't try to get it together for American Idol. DMX's family. Okay, so we talked about how the rapper DMX passed away last week. And since then, there have been all sorts of GoFundMes popping up asking to raise money for his funeral expenses. Well, his family is coming out and saying, we're fine. Don't worry about it. We don't donate any money to anyone. And I was just like, well, yeah, right? He's DMX. Like, he'll be fine. Well, I went and looked through recently some of his finances, because it turns out that back in 2013, he did file for bankruptcy. He was charged with tax fraud in 2017, was sentenced to some prison time, as well as had, I think it was like a $1.7 million fine attached to what was already a $2 million tax debt. And his net worth, from what everyone can find, was around negative $1 million. So he was in debt. So I guess I could kind of see how, if you're a big fan of DMX and you know all of this about DMX, maybe you think his family might be struggling and maybe they do need a little extra help. He might throw a couple bucks into a GoFundMe. His family saying, "No, don't stress about it. We got it covered. Don't donate. It's all scams." So if you see a DMX GoFundMe, just ignore it or report it. Like, tell Facebook that this is a fraudulent thing and just let Facebook deal with it all. And finally, this is nuts. All right, we talk a lot about celebrity stalkers around here. Olivia Wilde. Now, if you don't remember, back in January, Olivia Wilde, who was married to comedian Jason Sudeikis, she split with him, and she moved in with her new boyfriend, Harry Styles. Olivia and Harry met on the set of a movie that they were filming together, and they just sort of really hit it off, and they had been living together filming the movie, and one thing leads to another, and they just sort of end up, an item. Well, she just had to file a restraining order against a stalker who claims it was actually him this whole time, not Harry Styles. Oh yeah. So she caught on surveillance tape this guy for like a long time, for like multiple days, came to her door and started taping up notes, love notes. And he kept just saying all this crazy stuff. And he basically said that Olivia told him she was unhappy in her marriage and wanted to be with him. And so he kept putting these notes up, and he goes, and everything was working out perfectly until Harry Styles got all the credit for what I was doing. Bro, who are you? Nobody knows you. You're not in this mix at all. Just absolutely oblivious. So again, it's just one of those things where these celebrity stalkers are getting super duper out of hand. They're all over the place. And like, I feel like every time I crack open the news, there's a new robbery or a break-in or a stalker of a celebrity. And it's getting pretty scary. So I hope that the judge, I don't actually remember if the judge granted that or not, but I'll have to go through and double check. I'm pretty sure he did, but I don't know for sure, but I'll Google that later, or you can Google it later and deal with it. And that is the Morning Mews. Real quick before we continue, I would like